What does it feel like to get this award?
It feels so, oh man, that's a hard one. It was surprising.
It feels great. I feel doubly blessed.
It's just a very humbling and a joyful thing.
Kind of weird, honestly. Like, I don't know, like I look at what I do every day, and then I was like, I don't know, like.
Yeah, I think it was a letter in the mail that came from the seminary, and at first I thought, why are they doing this?
It was a surprise.
Just blew me away to see that.
Tried to figure out whether some mistake had been made in the process, and there are several Paul Hansons in the ELCA.
I got this letter from LSTC. I laughed and I said to Karen, my wife, I said, oh, they're probably looking for some money.
I was surprised.
I just wanted to know where the seminary got its intel.
First was astonished that a little envelope didn't fall out of the bigger envelope. And then I read it and couldn't believe it.
It was a reminder for me that ministry happens in community. It was a reminder for me of the many relationships that sustain you and renew you in ministry, and then coming back for this just underscores all those things.
Dr. Sittler was the speaker at the 1979 gathering of Lutheran student movement. And his comment to that group of college students was, we can't figure out who we are until we start being. And it gave me a great degree of comfort to not worry so much about what I was going to be and what I was going to do until I started doing it.
I think, well, the most important thing for me being in ministry has always been people. And I think to get out there in the world and spend your time being with the people is an incredibly valuable thing to do.
I think there was formation that happened here, becoming less certain about things, less rigid about things. And also, it kind of fueled a desire to be involved in the lives of students. I've always been interested in helping folks who are preparing for ministry do that, and to be involved in conversation with them, mostly because I learned.
And they were like, hey, that's not going to cut it here. We expect our pastors to be in the street. We expect the gospel to happen beyond these four walls. And I was like, about time. So it's great. Now, it's not always well received, because some people need some encouragement to move beyond the walls. So, but we just point back to our racial justice statement. We just point back to what our ministry is, that we move beyond the walls of this church. And so it's delightful.
Well, so I think the thing about LSTC and really seminary in general is that you can't learn about how to be a pastor because each context is so completely different. Like, they make the joke like, well, they didn't teach me how to do that. And seminary's like, yeah, no, they can't teach you how to unfix every broken printer in the world because every printer's different. But what I learned at LSTC was how to ask good questions and how to figure out the answer to things I didn't know. So I think that's what LSTC gave me was not like, deep technical know-how, but like each context is so different.
As a Lutheran Christian, I learned in seminary about Dietrich Bonhoeffer and the confessing movement. I also know that confessing movement failed. It failed because they didn't know their Jewish neighbors, because they didn't ally them with them, and it failed because they didn't speak in the language of everyday people. So I knew when I saw the same kind of dehumanization happening against our Muslim neighbors that I could not be faithful to my tradition and what I learned here at LSTC and not act and not try to create allies for our Muslim neighbors, not speak on their behalf, and not learn how to love them and be loved by them.
It's what I love about the students here, and the joy for me to be a part of this community and to teach here and to be a director of field education, etc. The students here are really aware, that's an important gift. It's like they're already starting with that foot in the world.
I was in the D-Min and Preaching program here,
which also is ecumenical with all the seminaries here in Chicago cooperating. And that did shape me. I got to know people from different denominations and parts of the country in a way I wouldn't have otherwise. And the whole thing of being here in Chicago, in Hyde Park, for 3 weeks, for several summers, is also life-changing.
To me, this is one of the richest parts of Chicago. Hyde Park is one of the richest parts of Chicago. There are a lot of educational opportunities. It's an academic community. And so I always felt like I was learning something new.
Let me put it this way. One of my favorite synonyms for faith is risk. And risk often means stepping out beyond what I might be familiar with or comfortable with or whatever.
Take advantage of everything that LSTC has to offer, the public ministry curriculum. If you can, take classes at other seminaries, get to know people of other faith traditions.
So I first met Daniel, I think, in Jerusalem. Daniel came here to LSTC in the late 1960s, and he loved studying the Hebrew Bible here. He became Orthodox Jewish. So I think it's really important for LSTC to have a Jewish alum who then helped when Esther Ben and I brought groups of students on Holy Land pilgrimages. Then we would meet with Daniel Rossing and he would help students understand Jerusalem.
He loved it here. It was his dream job. He said that every single day.
Every day. I said, how do you stand the drive? He said, I love it. Because he loved this place. And so he was so happy, like finally coming home. We just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is a great honor. Corden would have been really happy. It's still kind of a sad thing to think lifetime, and I think his lifetime was too short.